Hi, I'm Courtney Pache, your friendly neighborhood collections technician for the Human History Department at the Manitoba Museum and fellow book girly. Today I'm going to talk to you all about our book collection here at the Manitoba Museum for I Love to Read Month. You may be asking yourself, Courtney, where are these books? If you look right behind me here, we have our entire book collection, the majority of which we've housed in these special boxes made of acid-free cardboard in order to help preserve them and keep them nice and tight and avoid any damage that they might incur from gravity or use. These books vary in topic and nature, but I want to talk to you today about a very specific series that's near and dear to my heart. It's a series of comic books that I cataloged in recent years. The comic books are stored along here in these special envelopes. So once again, they're preserved for use. This series has a number of books, as you can see, and they're all individually encapsulated in these envelopes. This series may be familiar to some of you because it's about our OG Manitoban, Louis Riel, and eventually this series of comic books was turned into the very first graphic novel to ever make the Canadian bestseller list. This is the very first edition of this comic book. So it's written by Montreal-based comic book artist and author Chester Brown. Louis Riel famously spent some time being educated in Montreal, so it's kind of an interesting connection, despite the fact that he's not Manitoban, writing about this very significant Manitoban figure. We can see the entirety of Louis Riel's life told through this series. It was fascinating to catalog this. I'm not a comic book person, and when I was cataloging this series, I actually ended up reading the entire thing, and I found it absolutely gripping. Later on, the series was then compiled into this graphic novel. This is from my personal collection at home, and you just get the life and times of this really significant person. So this is the complete set of serialized comic strip biography of Louis Riel. Initially, they were each published as individual issues, which amounted to a 10-issue series. Later on, as I said, it was brought together into a single graphic novel. Each issue has a color cover, and then on the inside, all of the drawings are in black and white, depicting the life of Louis Riel, a couple backflashes, and so on. And then you have a lot of context with some notes and things like that to elaborate on some of the history. So this series chronicles the life of Louis Riel, a Métis politician often referred to as the father of Manitoba. In this month, I Love to Read Month, we also here in Manitoba celebrate Louis Riel Day on the third Monday of February. Louis Riel was born in St. Boniface on October 22nd, 1844. He was educated both in St. B and also in Montreal, and spent time traveling in the U.S. until he returned to the Red River settlement in 1868. He led the Métis resistance, formed a provisional government, and drafted a list of rights that formed the basis for the Manitoba Bill when the province entered Confederation in 1870. During the resistance, Riel was responsible for the execution of Thomas Scott at Upper Fort Garry, which ultimately resulted in his exile to Montana and eventual execution. Riel was tried, found guilty of treason, and executed by hanging on November 16, 1885 in Regina, Saskatchewan. He is buried in St. Boniface Cathedral in Winnipeg, and here in Manitoba we've commemorated him not only with the statutory holiday, but also with several things named after him, including Collège Louis Riel, Riel Street, and there's a large statue of him behind the Manitoba legislature. As a book girly, I'm asking other book folk out there, what Manitoba authors or Manitoba figures would you love to see represented in our book collection here at the Manitoba Museum? Happy reading!